On the eve of our engagement, my fiancé, Alex, came back to the city. He wasn't alone. He was holding hands with Chloe, his first love. He was late, and when he finally arrived, he looked at me and said, "I owe Chloe so much. I have to make it up to her." I stayed quiet, waiting for him to explain what that meant. "She needs money to start a company," he continued. "If you do her this favor and give her 20 million, I'll get engaged to you. If not, the engagement is off." He seemed so sure of himself, so certain that I, the woman who was completely in love with him, would just agree. He had no idea that I was already making plans to walk away from him for good. Today was supposed to be our engagement party. I had gone all out, hiring a famous musical group and a top-tier event team who had spent the last 6 months preparing the venue. The villa was decorated lavishly. It was a picture of grandeur. All our relatives, friends, and business partners were there. The one person who should have been there from the start was missing. Half an hour after the party was officially supposed to begin, my fiancé, Alex, finally walked in, holding Chloe's hand. I glanced at their intertwined fingers, my expression unreadable. Just that one look from me was enough to make Chloe flinch and press herself closer to Alex. He immediately shot me a look as if I was the one in the wrong. I lifted my chin slightly and gestured toward the watch on his wrist. "You're late," I said, my voice even. There wasn't a hint of apology on his face. Chloe, nestled against his side, spoke up first. "Sorry," she said. "I just got back in the country and I'm still adjusting to the time difference." My eyes moved to her. "Is that your excuse for spending all your time with someone else's fiancé?" The people nearby started to look over, their whispers filling the air. Chloe pouted. "Alex hasn't married you yet," she retorted. "Are you going to control him like this? Can't he have close friends who are women?" Alex gave her a comforting look, but when his eyes met mine, they were cold. "That's enough," he said. "Chloe doesn't have anyone to look after her here. I'm just worried about her. Nothing is going on between us." My heart felt heavy. The night before, while I was finalizing the details for this party, he was out taking care of his ex. It was painfully clear where his loyalties were. "Sophia, I'm here today to wish you well," Chloe said, as if she were being gracious. "Don't overthink it. Men and women can have a purely platonic friendship." She seemed to think she was smoothing things over. "Chloe came back to start her own brand," Alex explained, his tone making it sound like the most normal thing in the world. "She's just a little short on startup capital right now, so I brought her here. You should help her out." I stared at him. "And what if I don't?" I asked. Chloe's lips tightened. "You're not short on money," she said, her voice laced with accusation. "You donate to student entrepreneurs every year. Why can't you give me startup capital? Is it just because of Alex? Are you targeting me on purpose?" "If you won't even do this one favor," Alex added, his voice low and threatening, "then there's no point in getting engaged. I won't marry you." A flicker of contempt crossed his face before he settled back into his confident stance. He was so sure of me. Everyone knew how I felt about Alex. I had fallen for him completely, abandoning the pride I had held onto for over 20 years. "Sophia won't agree to something so ridiculous, will she?" Someone whispered nearby. "Of course she will," another voice said. "She cares more about him than anything. She'd do anything to marry him." The whispers continued, a mix of pity and mockery. I heard them, and so did Alex. A small, disdainful smile played on his lips. He thought he had me right where he wanted me. 3 days ago, he would have been right, but not anymore. It was time to let him go. When something is broken, you get rid of it. A man is like a piece of clothing. When it's dirty, you throw it away. It wasn't long ago that I discovered something unbelievable. The world I was living in was actually the plot of a novel. Alex and Chloe were the main characters. I was just the wealthy, tragic, supporting character who never gets the man she loves. In the story, I had another fiancé, a man named Daniel, but I had thrown everything away for Alex. I didn't want to believe it at first, but the events of today, the conversations, they were all playing out exactly as they were written in the book. Thinking about my character's ending, bankrupt and driven to suicide, I couldn't help but feel a cold sense of dread. In the story, I gave Alex everything, and once he had power and money, he left me for Chloe. My family's business was ruined, and I lost everything. Sophia, you have one chance, Alex said, his impatience growing. If you want to get engaged, you'll agree. Otherwise, Chloe and I are leaving right now. I watched the impatience build on his face. After a long moment, I gave a small, obedient nod. Okay, I said softly. A collective sigh of relief and resignation went through the crowd. Alex's lips curved into a triumphant smile, and Chloe couldn't hide her excitement, her eyes sparkling as she squeezed his arm. Then transfer the money now, she urged. She's in a hurry, Alex said, using the same commanding tone he always used with me. If you don't transfer the money, we're not going through with the ceremony. In the next second, I reached for a glass of wine from a passing waiter's tray. A slight smile touched my lips as I flicked my wrist, sending the dark red liquid splashing across the face that had once captivated me. That looks much better, I commented. The wine dripped down his chin and onto the collar of his expensive shirt. My sudden action shocked everyone into silence. Alex was frozen, the happy smile still on his lips, now stained with red wine. It was a ridiculous sight. A few seconds later, he finally reacted, angrily yanking at his tie. "Sophia, what the hell are you doing?" he yelled. Chloe rushed forward, trying to wipe his face with her hands. "Sophia, how could you?" she cried, turning to glare at me. "You agreed, and then you go back on your word." "When did I agree?" I asked, feigning surprise. "Sophia, if you're angry, take it out on me," Alex said, his expression full of concern for Chloe. "Don't bully her." I snapped my fingers, and a waiter, understanding immediately, handed me another full glass of wine. Alex seemed to think my first move was just a moment of anger. As the guests gasped, I didn't hesitate. I threw the second glass of wine, drenching him completely. A puddle formed at his feet. I looked at his sorry state and couldn't stop my shoulders from shaking with laughter. "How should I describe this?" I said, my voice full of amusement. "It's just pathetic." "Sophia, you're going too far. Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you have money?" Chloe shouted. Alex's face was dark with anger, his breathing heavy. "After a stunt like that, do you still think you can marry me?" he threatened. "Apologize to Chloe right now. Invest in her company like you're supposed to, and I might forgive you." "Invest in your mother," I retorted, a mocking smile spreading across my face. He stared at me, his face red with fury. He let out a cold snort. "What's this? A new trick? Are you playing hard to get?" "That won't work on me, Sophia." His eyes narrowed. "The terms just doubled, and if you make me the president of your family's company, I'll think about getting engaged to you." The sheer nerve of him was astonishing. "Are you serious?" I asked. "Can't you understand plain English? Get out." I turned away from him and raised my glass to the crowd. "I'm sorry, everyone," I announced with a smile. "The engagement party is canceled, but please consider this my singles party. Enjoy the food and drinks, and have a wonderful time." The guests raised their glasses, surprised, their eyes darting between me and Alex. "Security!" I called out. "Please show these two the door." "Sophia, you can't be so cruel!" Chloe screamed as two bodyguards started to escort her out. "Just because of a misunderstanding, you're going to ruin everything? You support other people, why not me?" "Alex, say something," she pleaded, reaching for his hand. He finally snapped out of his shock and struggled against the guards. "Sophia," he warned, his face livid, "even if you get on your knees and beg me to come back, I will never agree." His bravado lasted all of one night. The next morning, when I arrived at the company, my secretary met me with a worried look on her face. "Miss Sophia," he began, "the vice president is here." He hesitated. "Spit it out," I commanded. "He's in the HR department, trying to hire someone. He's causing a huge scene, and the HR manager can't do anything about it," the secretary explained. I slammed the file I was holding shut. I had made myself perfectly clear yesterday. What gave him the right to come into my company and start making decisions? I realized then that I had given him far too much power. If I could go back in time, I would have slapped myself for promoting him to vice president 3 years ago. I had even promised him that once we were married, I would give him all my shares in the company. "Give me the recruitment list," I said. I knew Alex. This wasn't just a simple interview. Something else was going on. And I was right. On the list my secretary handed me, I saw a very familiar name. Chloe. He was playing games right under my nose, trying to bring his mistress into my company. The HR manager was waiting outside the interview room, looking stressed. Miss Sophia, you have to help me. The vice president kicked me out and won't let me do my job, he said. Alex's assistant was blocking the door, looking terrified when he saw me. Inside, I could hear Alex's voice. Congratulations to Chloe on joining our company, he was saying. The rest of you can leave. He hadn't even looked at the other resumes. Chloe looked smug, like she had just won the lottery. One of the other candidates, a woman whose resume was far more impressive than Chloe's, spoke up. Why her? My qualifications are much better suited for this company. I decide who gets hired, Alex said impatiently. A pretty resume doesn't mean anything. If I say she's qualified, got it? I haven't agreed, I said, as my secretary pushed the door open and I walked in. Let's see who dares to approve this. A hint of mockery played on my lips. Alex's face darkened. It's my right to decide who to hire, he said angrily. A right that's greater than mine? I asked. I pulled out the chair he had been sitting in and sat down. I picked up the resumes from the table. You are all excellent, I said to the other candidates. Except for Chloe, you're all hired. Chloe's eyes widened. Sophia, that's not fair. You're just targeting me. You can't play with my future like this, she yelled, slamming her hand on the table. It's bad enough you won't invest in me, but now you're trying to ruin my career too. You don't deserve to be the chairperson. I looked up at her. And I suppose I should give the position to an outsider like you? I said calmly. Your qualifications don't even meet our company's minimum requirements. You have no experience, no real skills, and your university background is mediocre. If I wanted to target you, you'd at least have to be qualified enough for me to bother. I casually tossed her resume back at her. You're talking nonsense, Alex said, stepping forward and tearing up the other candidates' resumes. I've decided to keep Chloe. She'll be my secretary. You have no right to interfere. When did you get the right to make decisions in my company? I asked, my voice dangerously soft. Just because you're the vice president? Well, I can just fire you. He frowned. Sophia, what are you doing? I've worked hard for this company for 3 years. You can't just fire me. He didn't seem to believe I would actually do it. I could see right through him. Send out a notice, I told my secretary. Alex is no longer the vice president of this group, and tell security not to let him in the building again. My secretary and the HR manager moved quickly to escort him out. Mr. Evans, please pack your things and leave, they said. Alex's eyes widened in shock as he realized I was serious. You can't do this, Sophia, he said, his voice trembling slightly. The board of directors will never agree. I just blinked at him. This is exactly what the board wants, I said. They were furious when I promoted you in the first place. Did you really think you earned that position on your own? Stop talking nonsense, he shot back. Everyone knows I'm more capable than you. If it weren't for your family name, you would never be the chairperson. That position should be mine. Believe what you want, I said with a smile. You'll get your severance pay, of course. We're a legitimate company. I turned to the new employees. We follow the law here. They all smiled, while Alex's face was as dark as a thundercloud. You will regret this, he said as he was led away. I didn't know if I would regret it, but he was gone. The news that I had fired him spread quickly. Some people bet I'd be begging him to come back within 3 days. Others were genuinely happy for me. My parents, who were on a trip around the world, called me as soon as they heard. No matter what you decide, we support you, they said. We just want you to be happy. I will be, Mom and Dad, I told them. Alex doesn't deserve me. I'll find you a better son-in-law. After we hung up, my friends in the city sent me an invitation. They had organized a party to celebrate me finally getting rid of the scumbag. That guy was just using you, they said, drunk and happy. Thank goodness you didn't give him the company. We've got a whole table of handsome men for you tonight. Take your pick. They had hired a group of athletic young men to entertain us. I drank a lot and found myself laughing and talking with them. They were all so much better than Alex. Why had I ever put up with him? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I was talking to one of them, a handsome guy with a sweet puppy dog face when he leaned in close. "Sister," he whispered, "can we go somewhere else?" I found myself agreeing, and he put his arm around my waist, leading me out of the private room. The heat from his hand seemed to spread through me, and the air felt charged with a new kind of energy. Just as things were getting interesting, a furious voice cut through the haze. "What are you doing, Sophia? You're cheating on me?" It was Alex, his face red with anger. "Let go of her!" he ordered the guy next to me. The young man, whose name I now knew was Leo, just held me tighter. "Sister, I'm drunk," he said, his hair brushing against my forehead. "You drive." I took out my car keys and pressed them into his chest, completely ignoring Alex. He stood there, fuming. "Do you think this will get my attention?" he sneered. "You want me to come back to the company so you pull a stunt like this?" "Sister, who is he?" Leo asked, his hand tightening on my waist. "Just someone unimportant," I said, glancing at Alex. "Say that again!" Alex yelled, grabbing my wrist. "I'm your fiancé. You're with another man right in front of me. Have you no shame?" "The engagement is canceled," I reminded him calmly. "Who do you think you are?" "I'm your boyfriend," he insisted. "We only called off the engagement because you were being difficult." "Oh, I forgot to tell you," I said. "You're dumped." Just then, a soft voice joined the conversation. It was Chloe. "Sophia, you're cheating on Alex and you won't even let us talk about it? If you don't reinstate him, I'll tell everyone what you were doing tonight." I just smiled at her. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," I said, pointing to the security camera right above our heads. "People might be more interested in the fact that you were alone in a hotel room with someone else's fiancé the day you got back to the country." "Are you done?" Alex said, stepping in front of Chloe to block the camera's view. "Then get out of my sight," I said coldly. As they walked away, Alex warned me not to do anything stupid. "Is sister sad?" Leo whispered in my ear. I laughed. I wasn't sad, but I was suddenly curious about something. The club we were in was incredibly expensive. How could Alex and Chloe afford it? I called the manager and asked. It turned out Alex had been charging everything to my account. The bill was over $20 million. He had been living a life of luxury on my dime. "Charge him for everything tonight," I told the manager, "and for all the previous bills too." "Yes, Miss Sophia," the manager said with a smile. "Every debt will be settled." My relationship with Alex was completely over. I thought he would finally leave me alone. But a week later, the butler called to tell me that Alex and his mother, Mrs. Evans, were at my house. When I got home, she was sitting there, drinking from one of my expensive tea sets. "Sophia, you're finally back," she said, giving me a dirty look. "Making your future mother-in-law wait for so long." I noticed she was wearing my emerald necklace. "Who let you into my room to take my things?" I asked coldly. "You and Alex are about to get married," she said, as if it were obvious. "This is my home too. You have so much jewelry you should share." She had always been like this, constantly asking me for money, never grateful. "We have nothing to do with each other anymore," I said. "If you don't return my things, I'm calling the police." I glanced at Alex. The villa and sports car he drove were both gifts from me. My lawyer had already contacted him about returning them. "We're family," his mother insisted. "What's yours is Alex's. I'm just using my son's things." She then tried to play peacemaker. "Alex told me you two had a little fight. If you apologize to him, this will all be over, and I'll still accept you as my daughter-in-law." "That won't work, Auntie," I said. "Alex has someone he likes, and it isn't me." Alex avoided my eyes. His mother knew about Chloe, but she didn't seem to care. "What man doesn't fool around a little saho?" she said with a frown. "As long as he comes home to you, you should just ignore it. Have a son for him, and his heart will come back to you." Alex, probably worried his mother would cause problems for Chloe, tried to shift the blame to me. "Sophia, don't jump to conclusions. I wasn't disloyal to you. You were the one who broke our agreement. Chloe and I are innocent." I couldn't help but laugh. Innocent. I picked up my bag and unzipped it. A stack of photos fell out, pictures of him and Chloe holding hands, hugging, entering a hotel. Some landed at his mother's feet. "You had me followed?" Alex said, his face turning pale as he picked up a photo of them kissing. If you haven't done anything wrong, why would you be afraid of being followed? I had asked my secretary to have someone watch them after I left the club that day. I hadn't expected to use the pictures so soon, and his mother cleared her throat, looking a little guilty. These photos don't prove anything. They could be fake. I was prepared for that, I said, pulling out my phone and playing a video. Photos can be faked, but a video can't. The video showed Alex and Chloe kissing passionately. I zoomed in, making it impossible to deny. His mother was speechless. Enough, Sophia, Alex yelled, standing up. I've had enough of you. Remember what you said today. Don't come crying to me later. He grabbed his mother's arm. Mom, let's go. With my talent, I can find a job at any big company. She's the one who should be worried about how her company will survive without me. His mother, her guilt gone, puffed up her chest. That's right. There are plenty of companies that would be lucky to have my son. I just smiled. The big families in this city stick together. The news that Alex and I had broken up and that I had fired him was already all over town. No one would hire him. 2 months after Alex left, I took over the projects he had been struggling with and successfully completed them, silencing all the gossip. I focused on my career and the company flourished. Alex had always underestimated me. I was never a fool. I had just been a fool in love. One afternoon, my secretary told me I had a meeting with a company that had been trying to partner with us for a while. I had her handle the arrangements. I never expected to see two familiar faces there. The general manager of the company came down to greet me personally. It was Leo, the handsome young man from the club. We both smiled when we saw each other. Why is it you? He asked, his signature curly hair falling across his forehead. Aren't you happy to see me, sister? He teased. He was dressed in a sharp suit, looking completely different from the last time I saw him. My name is Leo, he said, formally introducing himself. The general manager of this company is my father. My smile faded when I saw another familiar figure out of the corner of my eye. Alex. He was here. Leo, stop, he said, his voice tight with anger as he chased after me. You're behind this, aren't you, Sophia? You used your influence to get them to reject me. Are you happy now that you've seen me fail? I frowned at him. He was dressed in a suit, holding a briefcase. If it weren't for the resume in his hand, I might have thought he worked here. I didn't ask anyone to blacklist you, I said. I hadn't needed to. The powerful families in our circle would have done it on their own to curry favor with my family. You're trying to ruin me, he accused, but I won't give in. I won't change my mind unless you publicly apologize to Chloe. Leo just shrugged. I told my staff not to hire him, he admitted. That night at the club, you were rude to Miss Sophia. I was upset about that. He leaned in close to me, a playful smile on his face. Right, sister? My heart skipped a beat. Fine, Alex seethed. You have someone to back you up now. Just you wait. I'll get you back for this. He stared at me with such hatred that I shivered. But then I remembered. He was the one who had betrayed me. He was reaping what he sowed. Worried that Alex might do something crazy, Leo arranged for bodyguards to protect me. For a few days, everything was quiet. Then, Chloe showed up at my company, causing a scene at the front desk and demanding to see me. What do we have to talk about? I asked when she was finally brought to my office. You're so heartless, she said, her voice full of resentment. You've ruined Alex. Don't you feel guilty? I almost laughed. Alex had cheated on me. It was only natural for me to break up with him. Why should I feel guilty? Weren't you guilty when you got together with him? I asked. We truly love each other, she insisted. The one who isn't loved is the third wheel. If it weren't for you, we would never have been separated. She had the nerve to bring up the past. Chloe, I said, you're the one who wanted to go abroad. You asked me for money. You and Alex had been broken up for over a year before I started dating him. All that money I gave her back then had just been wasted. I don't care, she said. Alex worked for you for 3 years. You kicked him out, and now no one will hire him. You have to give him startup capital. We only need $20 million. After that, we'll leave you alone. I was so angry I actually did laugh. I was the one who was betrayed, and now I was supposed to pay them a breakup fee? If you love him so much, why don't you give him the 20 million? I asked. I don't have it, but you do, she said. That amount of money is nothing to you. If you don't give it to us, I'll hang a banner outside your company and make sure you can't do business. Have you been abroad so long that you've forgotten about the law? I asked, turning on the recorder on my phone. Extortion carries a prison sentence. I don't mind sending you there to learn a lesson. I played back what she had just said. She shot me a look of pure hatred. Just you wait, Sophia, she said before storming out. A month later, someone gave Alex a lifeline, and he started his own company. He managed to steal several projects from me. I told you I'd get back everything I lost, he said, smug and triumphant after closing a few deals. Chloe was by his side, looking just as pleased. Why the rush? I said with a playful smile. The Phoenix family doesn't need those two projects, but I'd be careful if I were you. Alex understood my hidden meaning. I'm not like you, he said. I'm determined to win. We were set to compete for a major land bid. I knew Alex would do anything to win, so I set a trap. I let him get his hands on some inside information I had planted, information that made the land look like a golden opportunity. In reality, it was a disaster waiting to happen. Just as I expected, he won the bid, investing a huge amount of money. You lost, Sophia, he said, with a mocking smile on the day of the bidding. I just smiled back. Congratulations, I said. You'll like this gift. When the truth about the land came out, his company, which he had been running for less than half a year, went bankrupt overnight. He lost everything. He found me a few days later, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. You framed me, he screamed, his hair a mess. The bodyguards surrounded me, keeping him at a distance. You chose this path, I said calmly. I didn't force you. Blame your own greed. He laughed, a wild, reckless sound. This is all your fault. If you hadn't driven Chloe away, none of this would have happened. You ruined me. You're wrong, Alex, I said. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. It was from years ago, a conversation I'd had with Chloe. Give up Alex for money? Don't you regret it? My voice asked. Chloe's laughter filled the air. How can he be more important than money? A poor guy like him doesn't deserve me. The recording stopped. Alex stood there, stunned, as if he'd been struck by lightning. No, he whispered. It's impossible, you're lying. He looked at me, his eyes empty. Sophia, can you give me one last chance? I pointed behind him. Run, I said. Your creditors are here. He ran so fast he lost a shoe. I heard later that he had borrowed money from loan sharks. They hounded him relentlessly. He got into a fight with them and ended up with a broken leg. Chloe, the woman who claimed to love him through thick and thin, tried to run away with his last bit of money. He caught her and, in a fit of rage, stabbed her. Alex was sentenced to 12 years in prison. On the day he was taken away, he begged to see me, but I didn't go. There was no point. I heard that in his 3rd year of imprisonment, he died of stomach cancer. As for Chloe, after she recovered, she became an internet celebrity for a while. But her fame was short-lived. A jealous fan of another streamer attacked her, splashing acid on her face and disfiguring her. She disappeared from the internet after that, and no one knew what happened to her. Many years later, Leo and I were talking about it. Being that infatuated with someone, I said, it's like a disease. It needs to be treated. I was just glad I had been cured and had found my own true happiness.